Hey, what's up? It's Greg from Fisherman's Headquarters, and today is Thursday, September 21st. I'm down here on the south end of Long Beach Island, taking a stroll on the beach, share an updated fishing report with you folks. I'll first start off with some things here happening on the ocean, the surf. Don't really have much of an awesome fishing report to share on the beach front. However, there's some big surf in the water right now. This morning started off very tranquil, no wind, calm ocean, slick ocean conditions. Almost Lake Atlantic, small little groundswell. Since, say, this morning, it's right around noontime, which is dead high tide with that incoming water. Also had incoming swell throughout the morning today. Right now, we've got a pretty powerful long period groundswell in the water from Hurricane, I believe it's Nigel, a little, say in the distance, a little further offshore. It looks to me, from looking at the forecast, we got a pretty powerful swell continuing today throughout the weekend from Nigel, but also we have an interaction with a low pressure kind of starting up to the southeast and north, kind of the northeast high, got a little pressure gradient. We're gonna have a pretty big northeast blow coming here for the next, say, a few days into the weekend. Like I mentioned, the surf report, surf right now is in the 3 to 5 foot range, very powerful groundswell. It is high tide, top of the tides right now, about noontime. As far as fish report goes, I can share, there's kind of a little bit of everything going on, but nothing spectacular or great to top things off. If you're looking to get a bite, the best bet would be to go for tog in Barnegat Inlet. That right now is probably going to be your most consistent way to catch some fish. And hearing some really good reports of a lot of fish. Keepers are kind of hard to come by. If you're looking to get a keeper right now, definitely have to put some work in. It's kind of funny, sometimes people will stop in the shop and they'll say, hey, I'm looking for a dozen green crabs, all I need is a dozen to, or sand fleas to get a keeper, and when you bring a dozen, you end up, needing more, and then you bring 2 or 3 dozen, and then you end up catching a keeper right away. So it's always funny how that plays out. But as far as the bay side, you got a pretty good action with blowfish spot, weak fish, some striped bass. There's a lot of bait pushing around. It seems like some bait have kind of moved and staged up in some different areas than we've been at, say, throughout the summer. We're starting to get into the later stages of summer here. We're starting to get into fall. Last report, a report or two ago, started sharing some information about bait moving out front. Once again today, saw a lot of mullet in the surf. Pelicans are on them. It's great to see that progressing. Still lots of peanut bunker in the back. Some areas have some spearing. Definitely still some mullet in the bay as well. But as we kind of transition here into the later part of the month, we're going to have another northeast blow. This is kind of the second one of September. I think we'll be getting some more bait moving out like it did on the last blow we had, northerly blow, which ended up kind of blending into that bigger swell that we had from Hurricane Lee. Kind of see how that stage is set here, but it looks to me that we should have some pretty good striped bass fishing with this blow. It's definitely hard and difficult conditions, but a lot of times that bait's around. Windy conditions, rough conditions, whitewater, bluefish and striped bass kind of get turned on, kind of get charged up with that bait getting trapped around. Whether you're fishing inlets, the bay sides, sometimes you get those heavy winds for a number of days, kind of persistent consecutive days, persistent winds. That bait kind of gets stacked up around back. The game fish kind of get stacked up, and you start getting some good fishing in the bay side. I can share store stat for Max. He was out, got a beautiful striped bass the other night. Been hearing some good fishing reports from a lot of guys who work at the shop. You hear a lot of good reports from a lot of the customers in the store as well. Like I mentioned, bay side, you got weak fish. There's plenty of striped bass around, which is early season for them, but still some great fishing nonetheless. We've got bluefish. There's still sheep's head, triggerfish. I know the fluke fishing's been pretty good at the inshore, say midshore, say areas, reefs, and wrecks. Some people are going a little bit deeper. When I was able to get out a little more frequently, I was getting a little deeper water, fishing 70, 80, even 90 foot of water, getting into some really good fluke fishing. Kind of the swells that kind of came up, kind of broke things up for us, and you can't really get that the day after day fishing and staying kind of in the loop with the trend. It seems like a little bit of that kind of slowed down because of the swell. Maybe it kind of did some upwelling. Maybe it stirred up the bottom. All that could be factors, but I know that a couple of reports I heard from the, say, nearshore waters were kind of a little on the slower side. I've heard some anglers catching some fluke off the surf still. As I'm taking a stroll here and down in Holgate, down in the refuge, you saw a truck drive by. Refuge is open, you get your permits down in Long Beach Township. There's also fishing taking place if you want to go and fish. Even with this hard north wind, you can see behind me, plenty fishable pockets here on the surf. You can easily cast a lure, cast a popper like an imitation for bluefish or striped bass. You can also try for kingfish, which have been few and far between this season. There's actually been some spot on the surf. Probably heard of more spot in the last couple weeks off the surf than I have kingfish. You could also do some fluke fishing, cast and retrieve either a single drop rig, like a teaser rig, or say a diamond jig with a teaser up above it. You could also fish a straight up bucktail, classic bucktail rig. Lots of different ways to fluke fish off the surf, but as long as you got gulp, you should catch fish. And here's some really good reports of fluke still happening in the bay. Shop alumni, longtime locals, fluke angler, Sam Wazinski was out with his buddy Rich. Sam moved out of the area years ago. He worked for us for a number of years at the shop. He was down yesterday. I know they caught some fluke in the bay. He texted me a photo of, the happy, stoked photo with some fluke. I know they were fishing the bay. He said it was good. So even though in this late season, say late stages of the fluke season, there's still fluke in the bay. You could be catching fluke on the sod banks, main channels, main thoroughfares. I really wouldn't be up in the flats. I'm not going to say there's no fluke in the flats, but that area is probably, say, more of an early season area. I think most of these fluke are kind of moving the way out. Inlets would be a place to target, and also, like I mentioned before, those inshore, near-shore reefs, wrecks, and such. I have heard awesome tuna fishing reports. The chunk bites seems like it's on in the mid-shore waters. Really haven't heard too much from the main canyons. Not to do a huge spot burn, but it seems like the triple wrecks and the Bacardi last couple days when this weather window allowed, people got into them. Today's probably end of the weather window, so as far as the spot burn goes, it's kind of a classic, yellowfin tuna fishing kind of area. Triple wreck's been kind of on pretty consistent here this year. Somewhat of like a windshield wiper. One day it's good, next day it's not. One day it's good. I know it turned on yesterday afternoon. I heard some good reports. One angler, actually from Brigantine, Tom LaPera, I fixed his trolling motor. He stopped in for a road end repair. He went on a friend's boat yesterday. I think they got 13 for 15. I know some boats out of Barnegat Light yesterday, fished some friends. They said they had a handful of tuna, so it's great to see they're out there catching some yellowfins on the chunk before this swell and before this wind kind of chases everybody out and back to the dock. Can share still some mahi, some cobia inshore, kind of a lot of different things going on. I think I mentioned triggerfish, the inshore snags. I'm sure the sea bass, that season's closed, but hopefully that'll be opening up again soon. Fluke season's closing out. I guess it's the 27th, so get it while you can. Hopefully you guys had an awesome fluke season. If you have or hadn't, please share below. Drop a comment, let me know how you made out this fluke season. Hopefully my reports helped you out. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. But hopefully this upcoming fall, you guys stay tuned to my fish reports, and hopefully I bring some value to you this upcoming fall, and hopefully you have an awesome fall. Once again, it's Greg at Fisherman's Headquarters. You need any bait tackle, stop by anytime. We're open 7 days a week. Fisherman'sHeadquarters.com, and also at the entrance to Long Beach Island right after the first traffic light. Check us out. We're here to help you out. Been around since 1962. We're helping anglers catching more fish. So I welcome you to stop by anytime and ask some questions. Need to get geared up. We're here for you. Have a great day.